Wait. Go na, start.
Inference, the act of using existing knowledge or evidence to make a logical and draw a new conclusion. So basically, it is a process of using our knowledge and reason to make a conclusion. Example, when a person sees a broken window and infers that there was a break-in. So the person here is inferring that there is a break-in because they have prior knowledge that a broken window is usually a sign of a break-in. Argument, a set of reasons intended to convince someone of the validity of a particular conclusion. Premises, chocolate has a sweet taste and people generally like things. So therefore, our conclusion is chocolate is the best flavor of ice cream. So the premises, it has individual evidence and reasons to make the to support the conclusion, and the conclusion is the main point that the argument is attempting to prove. The key to understand the argument is to identify the premises, conclusion, and the connection between the two. In this way, we can determine if the argument is valid, which means it has a logical structure and it is based on true premises. Next slide. Statement or proposition. It is a statement that expresses an opinion, fact, belief, or assertion that can either be true or false. Example nito, the sun is a star, it's a fact, and I am tired, it's an opinion, and 2 plus 2 equals 4, it's a fact. Premises and conclusion, they are both key components of argument, and a premises is the reason for believing in the truth of a conclusion in an argument. Example, if it's raining, the grass will be wet. As I said earlier, the premises, it has individual evidence and reasons to support the conclusion. So therefore, our conclusion, the grass is wet, because the conclusion, it is an argument that statement or proposition for which the premises are intended to provide support. In short, it is the point that the argument is trying to make. Next speaker, please.
So, good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. So, I am Chini, and I am going to discuss inductive and deductive logic. So, I know that this isn't the first time that we're going to hear these terms, since I know that we've already encountered this in high school in our mathematics subject. So, let us first differentiate deductive from inductive logic. So, in deductive logic, it attempts to provide full proof of the conclusion. It is impossible for the premises to be true and the conclusion to be false. So when we say premises, so these are the assumptions that we have that serves as a basis and it is stated as facts or general principles. So we use deductive logic usually in mathematics, philosophy, or other programs that requires precision or accuracy. So in using deductive logic, we must have our premises first. Then once we already have it, we examine possibilities to reach a specific and dapat certain conclusion. So when we say premises, so these are the assumptions that we have that serves as a basis for an argument. So a common example of deductive logic is all humans are mortal and Socrates is human. So from this given premises, we therefore conclude that Socrates is mortal. So it also says here that it is impossible for the premises to be true and the conclusion to be false. Therefore, if the premises are true, the conclusion must also be true. Deductive arguments are constructed in such way that the validity of the premises ensures or guarantees the accuracy of the conclusion. Here, we follow rules, principles, or processes in drawing conclusions. So let's apply it in a nursing context. So for example, during PD award duty, some students were assigned to assess children who had been admitted due to symptoms of gastroenteritis. So using deductive logic, sabi nga kanina, we must have our premises first to use as our basis to draw conclusions. So for our example, our premises include first our knowledge about gastroenteritis and second the signs and symptoms of the patient. So what is gastroenteritis? We know that gastroenteritis is an inflammation of the stomach and intestine due to infection. And the second premise is that the patient's symptoms include frequent watery stools, fever, malaise, elevated white blood cell count, increased hematocrit, and low sodium and potassium levels. So they also identified E. coli sa stool culture. So from the given signs and symptoms as well as the understanding kung ano ang gastroenteritis, the students can conclude that the patient is likely experiencing gastroenteritis. So based example, we had our assumptions first, then we used them as our basis to draw the conclusion. So next we have inductive. So inductive, it attempts to provide evidence for the likely truth of the conclusion rather than outright proof. So it is improbable that the premises could be true and the conclusion to be false. So inductive is based on observations of specific cases. So earlier, we said that deductive logic is used in mathematics and other programs that require accuracy. In inductive naman, we use it in a scientific investigations and circumstances kung saan yung conclusions are formed based on observations or experiences ng tao. Kanina rin nasabi natin na in deductive logic, we use facts or general principles in drawing conclusions. Here in inductive logic, we use our observations in making generalizations to reach a conclusion. So conclusion here in inductive logic are not guaranteed to be true unlike sa deductive na it also has to be true. Kasi dito sa inductive, yung conclusions are merely probable or likely lang siya depending sa evidence na na-present. So the possibilities of the conclusions here being true are pwedeng malaki or minimal lang. So to better understand this, let's have an example. So during our 3-day clinical duty in the delivery room, we were assigned to assess or check on various patients. So student A noticed that her patient was in distress and appeared uncomfortable during the labor. So what she did was she tried to massage the patient's lower back to relieve the pain. And after massaging, she noticed that it helped alleviate or ease the patient's discomfort. So the other day, another patient came in. She observed that the patient was similarly uncomfortable and in pain during labor. So again, she massaged the patient's lower back and had a similar positive outcome. So as a result, the student concludes that massaging the patient's lower back is helpful to mothers who are experiencing discomfort caused by labor-related pain. So, based on the given example, we noticed that Kyla made her conclusion based only on her observations and experiences. So, between these two, deductive logic is more difficult to use since you need facts that are definitely true since sabi nga kanina, you have to be precise or certain, which can be difficult particularly for people who struggle with logical and abstract thinking. So to simplify in reasoning, deductive logic goes from general to specific, while in inductive, you go from specific to general. So next slide. So let us now proceed to validity and soundness. So let us first know the importance of validity and soundness when it comes to an argument. So these two are important because they provide an accurate and reliable reasoning process, which can be helpful in strengthening one's argument. So how do we test whether an argument is valid? So Mr. Polvorosa, can you please read what's written sa slide?
Imagine that the premises are true whether or not they actually are. Ask yourself without appealing to any other knowledge you have, could you still imagine the conclusion being false? If you can, the argument is invalid. If you can't, the argument is valid.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Polvorosa. So we can tell that an argument is valid if the conclusion follows necessarily from the premises. So to do this, we must assess the structure of the argument. Then next is the validity. So this involves doing evaluation to determine if you are able to picture your scenario in which your premises are valid but your conclusion is incorrect. So if you can't imagine your conclusion being false, this means that your argument is valid. However, if you can imagine it being false, it means that there is certainly an instance in which your premises are true but your conclusion is not. So here's an example of a valid argument. So during the pandemic, people were told to wear face masks and face shields to protect themselves from acquiring the virus. So the second is people adhere to this protocol. So we have two assumptions here. First is wearing a face mask and face shields can reduce the risk of spreading and acquiring the COVID virus. So the second is people adhere to this protocol. So for the conclusion, therefore, the incidence of having and spreading the virus is expected to decrease. So next slide. So remember, validity does not have to do with the actual truth or falsity of the premises, only with what would follow from them if they were true. So to understand this, let's have an example. So imagine that you are cooking. Then think of the validity as your recipe and your ingredient as your premises. So whether or not the products you have and the recipe you are following are the same, it will not affect your recipe's taste. Instead, it will depend on whether the steps that you performed are appropriate, which will result in a good recipe. So in short, validity is more concerned with with how things are put together rather than whether the components or parts are correct or incorrect. So a valid argument can have false premises. So as long as there are still logical relations between the premises and the conclusion, and this relation is reasonable and sound, the argument can still be valid. Kasi nga, as stated earlier, validity has nothing to do with the falsity of the premises, but it has something to do with how you follow the logical steps to have the conclusion. So next slide. So Mr. Tapar, can you please read?
To be a good argument, an argument must also have true premises, factually correct.
Okay, thank you. So it says here that to be a good argument, an argument must also have true premises. So an argument that have true premises are called factually correct. So in an argument, premises can serve as a solid basis for the conclusion only if they are true. So a solid basis of true premises can be used to convince others that your argument is valid and that your conclusion is sound. To add, having a true premises can protect your argument against criticism and objections, reducing your possibility to be rejected or invalidated. So next slide. So we have here three types or three kinds of argument. We have sound, invalid, and valid. So for sound argument, so argument is both valid and factually correct and may always have two true conclusions. So here premises are true and the conclusions follows from the premises. So we can consider an argument to be sound if it is both valid and has all true premises. So second is invalid argument.